and welcome back to You May Disagree. Today, we're diving straight into the roots of rock and roll and counting down 5 incredible artists who didn't just make great music, they completely changed the direction of music history. These are the pioneers, innovators, and absolute legends who helped light the fuse for everything that followed. Now remember, this is my list, and you may disagree, so let's jump right in. Starting things off, at number 5 is the absolute juggernaut, Led Zeppelin. When you talk about a band that completely shifted the direction of rock music, Jimmy Page and the boys are right at the dead center of that conversation. They didn't just write great songs, they created a whole new sonic blueprint that became the ultimate inspiration for so many artists who followed behind them. From that massive booming drum sound to Jimmy Page's heavy, hypnotic riffs, they laid down the law for how 70s arena rock was supposed to sound. Almost every hard rock and metal band that picked up an instrument in the decades that followed owes a massive debt to the stadium-sized energy that Zeppelin mastered in the studio. They are an absolute cornerstone of my collection, and they set a bar for rock power that very few have ever been able to touch. Coming in at number 4 is the one and only Jimi Hendrix. When you look back at the late 1960s, Jimi completely altered what people thought was physically possible on the electric guitar. He didn't rely on overly polished studio tricks. Instead, he just worked incredibly hard to master his gear, learning how to tame high-volume amplifier feedback and turn physical noise into beautiful, soaring melodies. And his approach to the instrument became a massive, lifelong inspiration for many legendary guitarists who followed behind him. I mean, you can look directly at artists like Aldo Nova, who openly credits Jimi as his entire reason for picking up the instrument in the first place. Even Ace Frehley from Kiss, who famously snuck backstage as a teenager to help carry equipment for Jimi's band of gypsies, was deeply impacted by that raw, bluesy, uninhibited stage energy. He showed an entire generation of players that the guitar didn't just have to sound clean, it could cry, growl, and completely take on a life of its own. He is an absolute giant, and this list wouldn't be complete without him. No siree. Taking the middle spot at number 3 is the legendary Chuck Berry. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I'm not a deep dive expert on his entire catalog. When most people think of Chuck, they think of his funny 1972 novelty hit, My Ding-a-Ling, or his timeless anthem, Johnny Be Good. But you don't need to know every single B-side to recognize that this man completely changed the sound of rock and roll. No doubt about it. In fact, up until Johnny Be Good came along, there simply weren't any songs on the radio that were as absolutely wild guitar-wise as that. That blazing, high-octane opening riff became the most copied guitar intro in human history. He took country music licks, married them to a driving blues rhythm, and created a frantic, energetic sound that practically invented the rock guitar hero persona. He didn't just write great melodies, he wrote the literal user manual for how to make an electric guitar scream. He is a true pioneer, and he laid down the tracks that the rest of music history eventually rode on. Coming in at the number 2 spot is the king himself, Elvis Presley. Now, when I was a kid, I honestly didn't even know who he was. I still vividly remember the exact day he passed away, back in August of 1977. I was only 6 years old, standing out on the porch with my mom, when my 2 older brothers came running up the street at full speed, yelling, "Mom, Mom, Elvis died!" My mom looked completely heartbroken and said, "Oh, how sad." And my exact response, at 6 years old, was simply, "Who's Elvis?" Looking back now, it's pretty funny, but it just goes to show how massive his impact really was. Even as a kid who didn't know his music yet, his passing completely shook my neighborhood. Of course, nowadays, I am incredibly familiar with Elvis. I've watched just about every single movie he ever made, and I've listened to pretty much every track he ever recorded. He became a massive part of my musical world, but looking back on that day in 1977, it really puts his legacy into perspective. When you look past the Hollywood movies and the massive stadium tours, His real, profound impact was how he took the sounds of the American South and turned them into a global language. By beautifully blending Southern country with the deep rhythm and blues and gospel music he grew up listening to, he created this explosive, high-energy rockabilly style that completely shattered the old rules of popular music. He didn't just sing songs, he became the visual and sonic blueprint for what it meant to be a rock star. He proved that the true soul of rock and roll was born in the unique crossroads of the South, and he opened the floodgates for every single artist who ever dreamed of stepping onto a stage. And finally, taking the absolute crown at the #1 spot is the true founding father, Muddy Waters. Now, to keep it 100% honest with you guys, I didn't grow up spinning his records all the time, but I recently sat down, took some real time to reacquaint myself, and deeply immersed myself in his catalog. And let me tell you, it completely blew me away. Listening to absolute masterpieces like Baby Please Don't Go, Manish Boy, and She's 19 Years Old, I instantly saw exactly why so many people credit this man with defining early rock and roll. The raw, crunchy bite of his electric guitar, that driving, hypnotic rhythm, it is the exact blueprint for everything we love about classic rock. He took the acoustic blues of the Mississippi Delta, moved up to Chicago, plugged his guitar straight into an amplifier, and invented the loud, heavy band format that directly inspired Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, and every other artist on this list. You simply cannot tell the story of rock and roll without starting right here. He didn't just play the blues, he lit the fuse for an incredible music revolution. No doubt. So there it is, my list of 5 incredible people who completely shifted the direction of rock music. From the deep southern roots of Muddy Waters, all the way to the stadium-sized power of Led Zeppelin. These are the artists who shaped what rock music was meant to be. But like I always say, you may disagree, and I really want to hear your story. Which specific artists or innovators first opened your eyes to the world of rock and roll? Drop your favorites in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation rolling. If you enjoyed this look into the roots of rock and roll, don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.